Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Split Decision. It's me and Para today. George couldn't make it, and we've got two special guests. We've got Dane and Emmett. Dane from the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, and Emmett from the Illawarra Hawks. And yeah, welcome to the show, guys. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh yeah, guys, we appreciate it. We've been big fans for years.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And I guess before we get into it, we have to obviously mention our sponsors, Kremlin. We've got the website in the description. They've got their hoodies. They've got trackies coming soon. And yeah, so make sure you guys are checking that out. And also make sure you're checking out the Instagram, the Facebook, and the Reddit, the Reddit that we never use. So
yeah. All right.
So anyway, let's get straight into it, I guess.
So first question for both of you that we have written down. What's like your first memory of with a basketball? Like your first memory, like touching a basketball or something like that.
For me, I have three older brothers, and they were all playing basketball growing up. So I was always just sort of around when they would go to their games, like under 8s or under 10s or whatever, and I was 4 or 6. I'd just run around and sort of shoot the ball, even though I probably couldn't make it at all. Yeah, that was my earliest memory, just sort of messing around. And then when I could actually hit the rim, they let me join the team. So yeah, that was about it.
I mean, for me, my dad played in the NBL, so I've always kind of been around it. And my first memory of basketball was actually just running around at his practices and stuff like that. And when I was little too, I got to go into the locker room when he was still friends with all the Tigers. He wasn't still playing, but he was friends with them all. So I got to go back into the locker room and sort of see those guys. I remember seeing, Drewy and Leonard Copeland and stuff back in the day. And I always looked up to them, but that's like my first memory of basketball, was like going into the locker room with the Tigers.
So you got to grow up with basketball basically around you guys?
Yeah, for sure. It was always kind of like part of my life and I guess growing up.
So both of you obviously had those older influences. Are these like the reasons why you got into basketball instead of like footy or something like that?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I'm from New South Wales, so footy was never really a big thing for me. I did play tennis growing up as well as basketball, but I think I realised quite early I just wasn't made for tennis. I wasn't that good at it. So at a certain point, I had to choose between the two, and it was a pretty obvious choice to go with basketball. It's just what I love to do, and yeah, I was much better at basketball than I was at tennis.
I also played like a whole bunch of sports growing up. It's like basketball's always been the most enjoyable for me, and also definitely it's most suitable for me, just with my height and everything. It helps a lot. So you kind of get pushed there a little bit, but I did grow up playing a lot of other sports. I played footy for a little while, but I didn't love the cold outdoors. I'm more of an inside comfort sort of style guy. So I stayed with basketball.
So when you were a kid, so you both grew up playing like basketball as kids, But when was like that realization that you were just a bit, more advanced than some of the kids at your age? You thought, maybe I can make a career out of this and like grow up and play basketball like in a professional league in the future. Like when was that realization?
For me, I was a pretty late developer, so I didn't make any state teams or anything like that until under 18s, and even then it was kind of like I was still just sort of pretty excited to be there. And I guess when I went to the AIS, and that's actually sort of where I first became friends with Emmett. And that was when I was kind of around guys who were really good as well. I was like, maybe I'm not too bad myself. And then even then, you kind of still just playing for fun until you finish college. You have to start thinking about like, oh, well, now that college is done, like, how do I keep playing? And to keep playing, you basically got to play pro. So that's kind of when I realized that I was going to be able to like play pros when I was first at the AIS, but not until I really started playing did I think that I was going to be playing basketball instead of doing real work for at least a little while anyway. But yeah, it was kind of a little bit of a late thing for me, but I did always dream of it. I didn't realize that was possible for me till quite late.
Yeah, for me, I think I started dunking around the age of 8. So from there, it was
Wait, dunking at 8?
Logical step.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm known for my athleticism. I was only 4'5" at the time, but with a 55-inch vert. No, like Dave said, it was just sort of like take it. I mean, you just try to get to the next step, and then the next step. So we play reps, and then try and make a state team, and then try and make an Oz camp or something like that. Yeah. So when I was younger, I never really thought necessarily about playing pro until it started to become a bit more an option in college, like Dane said. But yeah, the focus is more just trying to make that next step, instead of setting your sights necessarily too far ahead.
So growing up, were there any basketball idols that you had that like you wanted to model your game after?
Nick Young, Swaggy P. That's kind of who I've always looked up to and tried to model my game around. I guess other players, maybe Wally Serbiak. The usual guys that everyone kind of looks up to.
Yeah. I watched a lot of. I mean, I've always been a big NBA fan, so I watched a lot of Chris Paul and Steve Nash growing up.
Chris Paul,
Like
baby.
the Nash sort of. You like Chris Paul?
It's Russell Westbrook jersey.
Yeah, Westbrook.
Shut up, bro. Shut up. Shut up. I'm getting the CP3 one after quarantine. But yeah, so Chris Paul and you were saying?
Yeah, and Steve Nash. He was when I was growing up, it was sort of like the run and gun Phoenix Suns were pretty big, and obviously seeing a fairly unathletic white point guard thriving sort of gave me a bit of faith as a fellow unathletic white point guard. So yeah, tried to learn some stuff from him.
Right. So Dane, this one's for you. So obviously you spoke about your dad before, Brad, who played for Devonport Warriors and Melbourne Tigers. Like, how did he impact your like basketball environment growing up? Like, was it always just around you, or was it only when you went to training with him and stuff like that?
Great knowledge of my dad's career, knowing he played with Devonport Warriors. So well done there. Good research. He helped me out a ton. I mean, just like there was plenty of times, like I said, I was kind of late developer, and he just was always encouraging me behind the scenes and stuff like that. Just tell me if I enjoy it. I don't need to worry about if I'm having success or not. Just to keep having a good time. And he's the reason, kind of like for me, my favorite part of basketball is just really like the friends and the relationships you make along the way, which has been really cool the whole time. And that's something that he's always like really pushed me towards, just to enjoy the sport for what it is, and not get too high or too low with how you're doing, but just enjoy the opportunities that you have. And he was awesome. Obviously, he coached me a ton. He coached me in juniors, and then he coached me in NBL 1 now. So my actual performance, he's had a big impact on the player that I am. But just as far as it goes with enjoying the game and everything, I think that's where he's had his biggest influence on me, is just knowing how to enjoy the things that are great about it, which is the teammates that I've had and the bonds I've formed with them. So, and all the places I've got to go around the world too. So he's definitely made me appreciate basketball a lot more behind the scenes, as well as just helping my development.
And then also, when you were young, you obviously were in New York for a bit. Did that also have that impact on your basketball sort of culture life thing?
Golly, the split decision really does their research. This is unbelievable. I have a New York background, but I do appreciate that as a real New Yorker. Yeah, it was cool. At the time, it was actually living in New York actually didn't really help and push me towards basketball at all. When I was there, the Yankees won 3 World Series. So I played baseball for a little while, because I thought that was really cool.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I played baseball.
Why couldn't you find this out?
Yeah, I was not great. And you're right, there's not many opportunities to play baseball in Melbourne, but I played for a team called the Waverley. I can't remember the name. I played out in Waverley. Then I played for Port Melbourne as well. But yeah, that was fun. And living in New York was cool. It was a good experience to be in New York, in America, I guess, and going my American citizenship. So that helped me with college and everything. But no, yeah, New York is great. Good question. Thanks for asking about it.
So Emmett, this one's for you. So obviously you grew up in Sydney, but what was it like? What was the dynamic of basketball in Sydney? Was it much different to where you are now, or like where you've been in your career?
Yeah, it's a good question. It was, well, at the time when I was younger, I didn't really get the perspective until I think it was under 12s or under 14s, because my team, not to flex too much, was pretty dominant in the Sydney competition, the team I played for.
There's not a lot of competition in Sydney, so it's not hard to figure it out.
Yeah, so we got all cocky because we won a few championships and things like that, and we ended up going down to the Melbourne Classic tournament I think the first time was in under 12, and we just got absolutely beat down at that tournament by all the Victorian teams. So that was sort of the first taste of like, all right, like we were pretty good in Sydney, but things are much more serious down in Victoria. And then, so we kept going back to that tournament and ended up doing better and better. And then I guess from the Australian to the American perspective, like going and playing college basketball over there, just how big it is, like just your average student at the college who plays no sport or whatever, they all just love basketball, love sport. And like a random guy will be actually pretty good at basketball, whereas I think if you found, no offense to the Australians, but if you found a random guy on the street, chances are they probably wouldn't be very good at basketball. So yeah, I saw that just a step from, say, Sydney to Melbourne, and then from Australia as a whole to America, just the focus on basketball and how different it can be with where it's prioritized.
Boys, a fun fact about the Classic, actually. Emmett and I played each other in the Under-18 Classic. In the grand final, I was playing for Melbourne Tigers, he was playing for North Bears. And the game went to overtime because somebody missed a free throw at the end of regulation to win it. The Mighty Tigers.
Pulled a LeBron.
Got up and got the job done in OT.
I'm pretty sure Dane was fouled out at that stage.
But I had faith in my boys, so I didn't agree.
You had faith. Oh my God.
So then, Dan, you obviously mentioned coming back to Australia. How was that adjustment from like moving back from New York to coming to Australia and finishing off your like childhood sort of here?
Well, I came back from America when I was 8, so I had I wasn't too bad really. With sort of I was just so young. I didn't have like lifelong friends in leaving, but I did actually. It was funny. I came back from America I finished year 2 in America, and I came back and I was the right age for year 2 in Australia. And then, but they moved me up to year 3. There was a week left of school, so I did 1 week of year 3, and then I went to year 4 after that. Mum wasn't happy about me being young, so I actually repeated year 4. So that was so I guess that was a little bit of a tougher adjustment. But other than that, it really wasn't too difficult, and I was very lucky to grow up in South Melbourne, right around the corner from MSAC, which is good for my basketball as well.
So you two have been together for a while, like known each other for a while now, and you both went to the AIS, so the Australian Institute of Sport, in Canberra from May 2012 to June 2013. What did you like? What experience did you gain from there? Do you reckon it elevated your game a bit? You know,
just being at the AIS, it did for sure. That's like the AIS is a pretty amazing like resource of basketball, is just because you always have access to a gym whenever you want, and the weight room and everything, all the physios and everything is just pretty amazing. So it teaches you a bit about professionalism, and obviously you have to work really hard because we were there just to play basketball, so we're working out twice a day basically, and it's pretty cool experience. And then it's also one of the things for me as well is just that there's been a lot of Aussies that have been there, and you don't really want to be one of the ones that doesn't turn out, because there's a lot of guys who've been to the AS, but not everyone does end up doing quite well. So it's kind of motivating to be one of the names on the wall that actually didn't do too badly with their careers.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you guys. Where did you get all your research from? Can you hit us with the precise dates of
everywhere.
We pride ourselves on our extensive research that we do.
Oh yeah, I'm a bit worried now. I don't know what you're saying.
We're like Tony Stark. We just have people everywhere. We got spiked everywhere. Shield.
Oh,
that's good.
I've got a question. I didn't write this down, but how did you guys get into the AIS?
Oh, that's good. I actually, at the time, I think I applied for it, and they were choosing between me and one other person in my position, and they actually chose the other person, and then he ended up declining the scholarship. So then I got accepted, which looking back at it, it's Fish.
Oh, Fish.
Looking back at it, it was a pretty big moment, that move, because then I went to the AIS, obviously, and made connections there to get through to college. So, yeah, I think at the time it was just applying, and I'd been to a few Oz camps, so they were aware of like a certain pool of players. You did have to put your name down, I think.
I didn't put my name down. I got selected from the under 18 nationals. Oh, it was under 18s? No, under 20 nationals. Sorry, I played well at the under 20 nationals, and they sort of recruited me from there. I'd been to a couple trips the year before with Emmett and the AIS. We went over to Europe a couple times. Oh, actually, I just went one time with them to Europe, but I got to do a few Oz camps with the under 19 Australian team, so they saw me play there as well. And then I was basically brought in with about 4 other guys, and it was kind of to help us get prepared for the under 19 World Championships. So I was really only there for 6 months, just because we all had sort of finished school, and we had the time to work together to sort of put on a good performance at the World Championships.
Okay, yeah.
Do you want to go?
Oh, yeah, I can get. So then you guys went from the AIS to university, to St. Mary's University in America. What was that transition like, living in Australia to moving to the US?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was good, but it was tough. The college is a really different experience in terms of basketball, just with how I guess they just sort of really on your case, and they make you work really hard, which is good. But it's a different style of play over there, which takes a little bit of adjustment. When we first got there, it was a 35-second shot clock. The pace is really slow. It's a lot different to the way we play in Australia. We kind of play high tempo, and we would like to get shots up and everything like that. But over there, it's a lot different in that regard. And then it's the intensity of every practice and every weight session, especially at St. Mary's. You have to make sure that you don't take a session off at all, otherwise you get kind of ripped by the coach. So, and that's why they've done so well, as the coach demands a lot of their players. But it is a different experience,
Yeah, definitely. I think I was a bit luckier. I redshirted my first year, so our coach sort of had a philosophy. Like, it was tough as well. I had to still work hard, but when people are redshirting, he sort of forgets about them for the year and lets the assistant coaches deal with them. So I wasn't under as much heat as Dane sort of immediately in that first year. So I got to sort of get my feet under me and adjust a little bit. But yeah, like Dane said, it's just, it was tough at AIS, but then we went into just these really structured practices for 2.5, 3 hours. You're just playing against better athletes and stronger guys. So I think for both of us, it took a while to really get used to that physicality and that athleticism. And we did have to put the time into the gym a little bit. We're still not the biggest guys, but
Not yet.
Compared to where we were before we could really start getting minutes at St. Mary's, we really had to work on our bodies a bit. Otherwise, we were just going to get beat up.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot bigger athletes over there, I guess, in America. I don't know what they feed them.
They're growing big. They're growing big.
More athletic than all of us. They're growing big out there. But so obviously here there's like glory stories from college, where someone hits like that game-winning shot or like something like that. So I'm gonna ask both of you, like, what was your favorite memory from your time in college in America?
Well, for me, definitely my favorite. My two favorite memories might cross with Emma's a little bit, so I'll take one of them. I loved going to the NCAA tournament. That was amazing. It was just such a cool experience.
Right.
we had a police escort to the airport. We were on this big commercial jet that was just for Samaris, and it was like the coolest experience. And just to be part of the whole buzz, everyone's creating their brackets and stuff a day, so them talking about us on TV, and it's really, really cool. And I'm so happy that we got to go. It was my final year at college. Unfortunately, we lost our second round game, or I guess round of 32, in a game where we felt we should have won, but it was just so cool to be part of it, and I'm really glad I got the opportunity to do that. So that's my favorite college memory. Well, one of my two, but I won't take both because I might cross over.
Yeah,
again.
I'd say the other one. I mean, mine would have two. Well, we had this big come from behind win at home against Gonzaga one year. We were down like 15 with 10 minutes to go, and they were like our biggest rival. So every game against them, whether it was at home or on the road, the stadium was packed and just unbelievably loud. So that would be it. But then also winning at Gonzaga, probably one of the best feelings because it's just like they've got this massive student section, all do like choreographed dances. They all dress up in different outfits and stuff. Like it's one of those things like you only get in college sports.
Yeah.
And they just on you the whole game from like the minute you walk out to warm up an hour before the game, they're all there and there's no real blocking them from the court. So like if your ball rolls over to the sideline, some drunk dude will pick it up and try and shoot it and won't give it back to you. So they're just all over you the whole game. And then to get a win there, when we went there, our coach, I think had won one game there in 15 years or something.
Yeah, something like that.
We ended up winning two. Or
You won two.
I won two of my four. I won my last two games there. And so it was a pretty hard thing to do, and the crowd would just be completely silent by the end, which is pretty sweet.
That's I think like that college experience you watch it on TV, but obviously you can't like match actually being there. So that's sick. And
You can't
Emmett,
replicate that.
Emmett, you mentioned redshirting your first year. How was that experience for you?
It was good and bad, I think. It was good because
We're just gonna walk and talk. We're running out of battery on my phone, so keep going, Em.
Oh
yeah,
it's all good.
I'd say it let me experience a bit more of college life without having to worry about basketball as much that first year because, there's times the teams would travel and the team would be traveling and I'd just be left at the college. And again, like before game days or things like that, I didn't really have to stress out on the weekend. I didn't have to worry about getting ready for a game. I just had to worry about sort of nothing really. So it did let me have a bit more fun at college. But then on the other hand, again, I just got a lot more time to lift and get ready. So that when I did have my first year playing, I actually ended up getting to play like 25 minutes a game, which I wasn't ready to do when I first got there. There's no way I was going to play immediately. So without that redshirt year, I wouldn't have been able to play as much as I did that first year. And then that first year ended up giving me a lot more confidence, or I started to realize what did I need to do to play even more. Actually, because although I was playing 25 minutes, I don't think I had that big of an impact on the team. Whereas the next few years where I was playing more, I was able to contribute a bit more. So yeah, I mean, 5 years is a long time to be at college, but I'm pretty glad that I redshirted in the end, even though it was tough at times.
And just for the people that don't know, redshirting is
Right.
when you
So
don't participate in
Dane,
your first year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, some people don't know what redshirting is.
Oh, yeah,
Good
okay.
info.
Yeah. So Dane, you started all your games in your junior year, having a pretty good season, or a pretty good year, I'll say. What did that do for your confidence, going forward with your basketball, in?
Yeah, I mean, it was great because the few years before that, 2 years before that, I hadn't really played almost at all. I had 2 years where I really didn't see much time at all on the floor, and then you do kind of lose a bit of confidence when you're not playing. Especially in my second year when I was there, when I wasn't playing, we were also losing. I was like, well, I can't even help, and our team sucks, so I must be really bad. But then the junior year when I got to play a lot, it was really cool because I did well and started to make me believe that I could actually play quite well at a high level. And that was probably my favorite year, apart from the following year when we went to the tournament, because that was the year that I kind of played a lot and we won the conference that year as well. So it was a pretty good year for me. And yeah, I was lucky that coach kind of gave me a lot of rope that year and let me kind of go out there and play. And especially after the first years when I hadn't really done too much, he did show like a pretty good amount of faith in me that I could go out there and play in my junior year. So that was pretty cool.
And then Emmett, you had a strong sophomore year, averaging 14 points and 6 assists. And then in your junior year, you were the honorable mention for all West Coast conference selection. What was that feeling like being nominated for that?
Some more quality research from the
Yeah, great.
This is amazing.
Great research. I mean, to be honest, actually, that from my sophomore year to my junior year was actually a little bit of a jump back in terms of my stats and how I thought I played. And that was, I did, not to throw excuses out, but that was the year, I think, was it both of us? We missed our whole preseason with Dane had a back injury and I had a knee injury that never really fully healed throughout the year. But also, like, our teammate Jock Landale, who's now playing at Zalgiris, should be in the NBA. He really came into his own that year. So whereas I was the focus of the team more my sophomore year and our leading scorer, we sort of moved to a different focus where Jock was our best player. And the main goal was getting him the ball. But yeah, to be nominated and to get the honours of WCC team was really cool. And something that, again, when I first got to St. Mary's, I was just sort of happy to be there. I mean, they were my only real offer at the time. So again, like I talked about before, it wasn't like I got there and I was thinking I'm going to be all WCC first team right away. Like, I was just happy to be there and try to work hard each day. So then to get that acknowledgement was pretty cool.
So Dane, when you left St. Mary's, you were the all-time leader in field goal percentage. Did that, like, what was that feeling of knowing that you like made your name at that college in America? You'd held like a record there, you know?
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and it was great to know that I did it all by myself with no help from anybody at all. No, I was very lucky. I got to play with Emmett, obviously, who's an amazing passer, and also Joe Rayhan. So those guys really served up baskets for me on an absolute platter. I got to enjoy that for 2 years, so that always helped your field goal percentage. I was very lucky in that regard. So it is cool to be sort of in the record books, even if it's a kind of a little bit more of a minor stat. It'd be cool to be, you know, the all-time leader in assists or points or something like that. Which Emmett is all-time leader in assists, which is a really cool stat. So that was great. It is kind of cool to have at least one thing I can say I was the best at. But I didn't really pay too much attention because, like I said, I was pretty lucky.
And like you mentioned, Emmett was the all-time leader in assists, breaking Matthew Dellavedova's record. What did that mean to you, to break a fellow Australian's record in that sort of thing?
Yeah, it meant a lot. Obviously, Delly is someone we've all always watched. Like, he's on TV for St. Mary's, the Olympics, and then in Cleveland a lot. So I mean, rightly so. He was our all-time leading assist, all-time leading scorer, and Coach Bennett would talk about himself, just what a leader he was and what a player. So then to be able to sort of surpass one of his records was pretty unreal because we all hold him in such high esteem. But yeah, it was pretty cool. My senior year sort of really started going for it a bit more, you know. Anytime I had an open layup, I wasn't taking it. I was giving it off to someone. Once I realised it was actually possible. But yeah, it it's something I'm pretty proud of, and hopefully no one ever breaks it.
So moving on to your international career, Dane, you first played for Australia in 2012 when you captained the Australian under-18 team at the 2012 Albert Schweitzer Games in Germany. What did it mean to you to be representing Australia for the first time?
It was pretty amazing. Yeah, it was cool, especially as I was saying. I remember first season at under 18s, and it was kind of really quickly they ended up being on the Australian team from not making a team before that. So I was kind of a bit overawed a little bit just by being. At the time I didn't really feel like I should be on this team, and then I kind of got to start as well. So it was a cool experience to me, and especially wearing the green and gold. You do feel a real sense of pride when you're over there, even if it is just the Albert Schweitzer tournament, whatever it is. If you're playing on the Australian team, you do feel like you're representing your friends a little bit and your family, because you want to put on a good show for Aussies, because everyone else who's put it on before you has done that same thing. They represented it really, really well and with a lot of pride. So you want to continue the tradition yourself. So that was pretty cool. Being captain, especially at the time, I wasn't the most confident young lad.
Were you captain?
I was captain at Schweitzer. I was, yeah. Emma was there too. It was actually kind of funny. I'd never been captain of a basketball team before, and they made me do a pump up speech for a couple of the games, and I was just awful at it. I just started swearing, I think.
They're hard to do.
So that was an interesting experience, but it was great. Oh, I did love it.
And then you both played for Australia in the 2013 Under-19 World Championships in Prague. Obviously, also playing with NBA player Dante Exum. What was that international experience like, especially playing like a tournament like FIBA?
Yeah, it was pretty cool that Dante got to play with us. I'm sure it's something he always talks about. Yeah. No, it was great. That's probably the highlight of my career is playing in that under-19 tournament. That was a proper big tournament for my age group, and so it did feel like it was a real Australian team that I'd made. When I was on the under-18 team, none of the bottom age guys were playing, so when I played with the under-19s, it felt like I'd made a proper Australian team, and to go out there and a big tournament, they made a big deal of it. There's cameras there and everything. It was the first time I played in front of like a proper setup like that, and Dante was amazing. And he was so good. We had this incredible game in the quarterfinals against Spain. They were undefeated. I think we already lost like 3 times. So we were real underdogs in the game, and Dante just carried us. He had 33 points or something, and he had a whole bunch of assists too. And he was just amazing. He literally just carried us over the line to get to beat Spain. It put us into the top 4, which was a place I wasn't sure that we would get to going into the tournament. So it was just great. We were going around in the cafeteria, all the teams eat afterwards, and we were one of the final 4 teams left. And it was just such a cool feeling, and I loved it. It was just to be out there representing. My whole family came and watched too, so that was really cool too.
Yeah, like I said, come top 4 in that tournament. I mean, we would have loved to get a medal. Seems like there's a bit of a curse with top 4s.
Yeah.
But yeah, another side of it. Obviously, I agree with what Dan said. Another side is some of the guys in the tournament that are playing, like in the NBA. Like I think we played Nikola Jokic. What's the dude? Dario. A team is obviously filled pretty much all played against those guys. It's something that's pretty cool. And anytime I see him on TV, I can be like, "Yep, we played that guy," or something like that. It's just another cool thing to see how far people have gone from that stage.
Okay, that's
Dan,
cool. Oh, there you go.
No, you go.
And I was just saying, it's like, especially like seeing them now, it's pretty cool to know that you've played against them. And then so after that, you both obviously came back to Australia. Dane, you went to the Sydney Kings. What made you sort of want to join and play for them?
They're the only team that offered me a contract, so that made me want to play for them a great deal. that was it was great. I mean, it was really cool. I'm really glad. I'm very grateful that the Kings gave me an opportunity to play professional basketball. And the best part for me was that Drew was there, Andrew Gaze, who I've known my whole life, and he's always been a really great friend to me and my family. And so it was in that first year when it was a bit tough navigating professional life. I knew that if I ever really needed help, like Drew would be there for me, which is a great feeling to have with your coach. And yeah, I was lucky in the last 4 to 6 games. So I got to play. We had a lot of injuries, and we were on the bottom of the ladder, which was a new experience, all the losses. But I got to play a bit, and because of the situation, and got to play some significant minutes. We won a couple of games, so it was great for me in that first year to get some confidence up at that level and getting out there and playing. So yeah, it was a good experience. And my first year in Sydney, I lived at Emmett's parents' house. Actually, they looked after me a lot too, so that helped out the whole experience quite a lot.
Shout out mum and dad. I'm sure they watch, and they've also been long time followers.
So Emmett, you signed for the Illawarra Hawks. What was the reason for you to join and play for them?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, obviously, that decision was. I mean, I was speaking about it with my agent, and it's somewhere he thought, and I agreed it would be great for me because playing under Rob Beveridge, who was the coach at the time, and pretty high esteem. Well, a coach held in high esteem. That was a big thing, and just getting the chance to play. I mean, I think I was able to play a little bit, which I didn't want to go to a spot where I was just going to ride the bench and not really improve at all. So we figured that Illawarra was the best spot for that. Bevo liked to rotate through the lineups quite a lot, play an up-tempo game. So we saw that as a great opportunity. And then it was pretty close to where I lived in Sydney, which is always a bonus, but not too close where I was living at my parents' house and seeing them all the time. So they could come to all the games, but I was far enough away from them.
No, they're not that bad, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and plus, Wollongong's just a great city. Really cool place. Great fans and everything as well. So, yeah, I loved it there. Well, I have loved it there.
Shout out to them. I'm sure they watch as well.
But so then the NBA and NBL often do exhibition games in preseason for both leagues. And Jane, I think you've played against the Utah Jazz and the LA Clippers. How was that sort of experience against going like NBA players?
It was really eye-opening how athletic and how fast they are. When we played the Jazz, they opened up this like a 20-point lead on us so quickly. It's just another level that those guys were on. That was pretty cool. It's cool to see Gobert out there on the floor. He's just massive. And then it was great too because we were playing against Joe and Dante, and Joe was dominating us, and then Dante was playing. He was playing well. That was actually when he was having a really good season too. He was healthy, which is good to see. And he had there was one player I remember in particular. He's coming on a fast break, and I was under the rim, and I just had to make sure I gave him a cheeky little foul so he didn't dunk it on me because that was a real nightmare. And then the next year when we played the Clippers, that was fun too because we were a lot better as a team, and we had Bogues, who was so experienced at the NBA level. He could really, obviously, easily compete at that level. He was actually really good at that level. And him and Jerome Randall kept us in it for most of the match. And the highlight for me was I got switched on an on-ball with Lou Williams, and that was like, it was just kind of funny. I was like guarding, I was like, oh my God, I'm guarding Lou Williams right now. I just didn't want to get embarrassed more than anything. So that was just like, it was just a cool, it was a funny thing. I was watching him so much on TV, and it was stuck guarding Lou Williams. So he just by pure luck missed the 3-point shot that he took on me. But it was just a cool thing to do, just be out there guarding him.
Those type of players, those big name players.
The dream. That's the dream.
Was that before Kawhi was?
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the year before Paul George and Kawhi were there.
Unfortunately for them.
Unfortunately for them, they would have got slapped. So playing your first professional game is always a dream. You always want to step on the court and play for a professional team. Like, what was that feeling stepping on the court for the first time, being a professional player, like playing for a professional team?
For me, the first time I stepped on the court as a professional player, I believe it was the fourth quarter, and we were down about 25 points, so it wasn't all that exciting. But running out of the tunnel and warming up in front of a big crowd, and it was cool. You kind of get a little bit of buzz, you get really excited. That was great. For me, the most exciting game as a professional, like in terms of that sort of first game, was when I played the first game for Phoenix this year. A brand new club, and I was starting. We're playing against Melbourne United, because it was the first game of the season. We're playing against Melbourne United. It was a sold-out crowd, and I was so amped up. I ran around like headless chook for the whole match. Basically, I didn't score once. I got in foul trouble, but it was such a buzz. I was so pumped up the whole game. It was really cool. I got tired, I think, so I was just running around so much. In warm, so I did like 20 dunks. I can barely dunk anyway, so it took it out of me. But it was great.
Yeah, my first game was a lot of nerves. I think we played Melbourne United. Who I think had won it the year before, or at least been in the finals. So it's a pretty big game, and it's one I won't forget because I ended up getting to watch a lot because we ended up going to 4 overtimes. So for my first career game to go to 4 overtimes, that was pretty unreal. Yeah, it's just insane. And since it was my first game out, starting point guard, ended up getting 4 fouls somewhere in like the first overtime. So I had to sit there just so nervous that I was going to go back in. I hadn't played for like the last 20 minutes. So I was really cold and pretty stiff.
Who was that?
Sid Jackson.
Oh, yeah, Sid Jackson.
Yeah, so I was enjoying the game, but I was also just so nervous that I might have to go in my first game in second, third, and fourth overtime. But yeah, that was one I won't really forget.
And yeah, that's intense, 4 overtimes. And that rarely happens for that to be your first game. That's something different.
Yeah.
So then you both signed for the Melbourne Tigers, looking for that added development for your skills. What was that added experience of getting to play with each other once again as well?
Yeah, we were pumped for that. We were definitely going to win it all this year in the NBL one. We had a really good team coming together. Obviously, I was really excited to play with Emmett. Would have made life great for me as a player. But also having around Melbourne would have been good too. But then we were also lined up to play with some of my other really good friends, Felix Bonhoff, who's been working out super hard in this isolation. And I hope we get to play a few games, even practice games, so we can see all the work he's been putting in. And then, Jack Purchase, who I grew up playing with as well, Nick Pozzaglu, who's a development player with Perth. And then getting coached by Dad too has been great. So we had a really good squad. I don't think I left anyone out. Mike Wells is an import, but I hadn't played with him before last year. So all those boys are just cool to play with. It would have been really fun, and we definitely won a ton of games.
Yeah, it was hard to see any team beating us this season, so it's a bit disappointing this whole virus came through.
Yeah.
Reminds me when you just get all your friends together on one team, and you just go out and you're just beating everyone in PE or something.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what it would have been like. It would have been great.
When the PE teacher lets you choose your own teams, and then you choose all your mates. You just beat everyone else. So then, being from Melbourne, what was it like moving back, playing your first game for the Phoenix?
Yeah, like I said, it was pretty amazing. The Phoenix, it was cool. I mean, it was a very differently sort of run club to Sydney there was when I left it. A very, very professional outfit in down the southeast. So it's been great for me. It gave me a lot of opportunity at Simon. So had a lot of belief in me this year, which is really it gave me a lot of confidence and everything. But the thing that struck me the most this year with the Phoenix was just, the fans, they all jumped on board, an inaugural team that had never played before, and then they came out every game we had, even the games when we were out of finals, we were playing sort of smaller teams, they still had the Phoenix players were out there nice and early supporting us on, and that was really cool. It was great to see those guys out there cheering us on like that. So hopefully we can pay them back next year for the support that they showed us by putting on a bit of a better show and winning a few more games. Because I think that the way that they supported us, they kind of deserve some good results from the players.
And then Emmett, for you, obviously you were joined by LaMelo Ball, like that was massive. But when LaMelo Ball went down, you saw added minutes, which gave you like ample opportunity to show off your skill. How did it feel to like to show everyone what you're capable of doing in those minutes you were given?
Ball out.
Yeah, it was
Ball out.
it was really exciting for that little stretch. You know, obviously having a future top 5 draft pick on the team did severely cut my minutes a bit. But you know, I was lucky I got to live with Sunday Detch, who is just one of the hardest workers going around. So he would always motivate me to go in and do extra stuff. Obviously, since I wasn't playing as much early in the year, I wasn't as tired, so I could do extra individuals and stuff like that. And then you never want to see someone go down, but I was pretty stoked to get the extra opportunity to play more. And my teammates were great as well. They were very encouraging, telling me to shoot, telling me to play my game. So I was a bit more confident going in. And yeah, hopefully next season, wherever I'm playing, I get the same opportunity to play a bit more, try and show what I can do.
Yeah.
So Dane, joining the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, you saw a much larger role than what it was in Sydney. And with this we saw good performances from you. How was this like felt being able to perform in a way where you knew you were capable of doing like so well?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I did feel like I was put in an opportunity put in a sort of a spot with Southeast Melbourne where they really made the most of what I'm good at. You know, I'm not the most talented offensive player, but they didn't ask me to do much. They basically just plays, just try and keep the ball out on offensive rebounds and down the other end, defend on balls and basically try and disrupt the other team there. So they put me in a spot where they just basically let me focus on my strengths and you know, didn't make me go outside of them really too much. So I felt like Simon kind of used me the best way possible, and so I had a few good performances, but it was a result of me. I feel like, and the hard work I've put in to try and get used to the speed of the game and everything like that. But it was also definitely a result of Simon's coaching and putting me in the right spot to do well, and the makeup of the team certainly helped me too, where I got to play with some really great creative players that also helped make me look good too, like John Roberson, Mitch Creek, Gibbo, Carl Adden, all those guys. They all just Madge as well. Everyone they all really helped me out. And I would be really remiss if I didn't mention that playing with Ty Wesley, who I was watching a game the other day, a replay when we played New Zealand, and I think I had something like I made 7 field goals and 6 of them were assisted by Ty. So that was definitely helpful to me, being on guys that were willing passes and good playmakers.
And yeah, I think like that's when you have a good team, like teammates are ready to pass the ball, look for that extra pass. It does make everyone's job a bit easier. And for you, Emmett, you played alongside former Timberwolves player Aaron Brooks, you know, and and LaMelo Ball. What was it like playing alongside like those kind of guys?
Yeah, it was real lucky. Pretty big signing to get Aaron Brooks. It's a shame he got injured like he did. I don't think everyone got to see fully what he was capable of. I mean, obviously he was an older guy and people knew what he did in the NBA, but just seeing him in practice, he was really starting to get his legs under him, and was definitely going to be one of the best players in the league. And the big thing about he was, you know, for a guy who had done so much in the NBA, he came in just with the a great attitude, and like after practices, he would take us aside and be like, "All right, we're going to work on this. We're going to do that." Which is something he didn't have to do, and we didn't expect him to do. So that who was on the opposite end of the spectrum, where he's looking at his sort of professional career, which is really cool to see him improve a lot. Into when he ended up leaving, having 2 triple doubles in his last 2 games. He just improved. And I think that's obviously a testament to him and his skill, but also the work he put in the NBA.
Both of you, after this whole quarantine thing, and what's the plan for the rest of, like, what are your goals for the rest of your career? Like, how do you want it to pan out?
For me, to be honest, I would love to be one of the guys that can play for Southeast for, like, if I could play for Southeast Melbourne for like another like 8 or 9 or 10 years, I mean, that'd be amazing, because I actually think I'd probably get my jersey retired, which would be cool. I'm one of the inaugural members. If I play there for that long, hopefully I have some sort of record there. So yeah, I want to play basketball as long as I can. And so right now in quarantine, it's actually kind of a nice time where I can try and gain some weight and put on a bit of muscle, which I need to do. I can't be so skinny, and sort of play one of the front court positions. So this is a time where I hope that I can set myself up for a long career by utilizing it to gain some weight. And obviously I have a lot of areas I can improve as a player going forward, but for now that's just kind of what I'm concentrating on. And hopefully if I keep working on it, I can stick around for a long time. And I would love nothing more to have my jersey retired anywhere, but Phoenix preferably.
Yeah, I guess for me, same thing. Just want to play as long as I can. I've always thought it'd be really cool to play in Europe. If I get the opportunity, I think it'd suit my style of play. So that's something I think I'd like to look for. And any chance I could get to play for Australia again is always, I'm sure, something that everyone sets their sights on. So it would be unreal.
And also, onto like sort of, I think the question that me and Para have been wondering a bit, a big part of our sort of podcast is our debate on who we think the greatest of all time is.
For me, LeBron's the greatest. LeBron's the greatest of all
my
time. He's the best player ever. There's no doubt about it.
This man,
put him in the life of George era, he would average.
Nobody's talking about.
Thank God George isn't here. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, yeah. Thank God the other guy's in here. He loves LeBron. But yeah, you're right. I mean,
It's Jordan.
It's
Jordan.
Could you imagine? I mean, look at LeBron. LeBron was look at MJ. MJ was getting guarded by white guys. Can you imagine white guys trying to guard LeBron?
Jingles.
The other sleeping on the hate for the 80s and the 90s is evident.
I mean, who are you going against? Isaiah Thomas, Hakeem? I mean, look at LeBron. He's going against Kawhi, Tim Duncan, Kobe. Like, you know, he had a regraft and he was still balling.
No, okay, we're not having this argument again, but he got swept twice. So you gotta get swept in the finals twice to be the GOAT. But
you definitely can. You definitely can, because he is.
He went to 9 straight finals. I don't think Jordan did that. 9 straight.
Plus, if you're going to lose the finals anyway, you might as well not waste games. You might as well just lose them all. It was smart by him.
Oh my God. The hostility. Only Jordan fan here.
Yeah, because he's trash. No, they're both good. They're respective, right?
Oh my God.
Everyone knows that. I mean, so I mean, these questions are like, these last few questions have got going up. They're not specifically designed around your career. But like, was there any specific like pre-game routine that you guys have to go through? That you have to do like any like certain what are they called?
Rituals.
Yeah, like rituals and stuff that you guys do before a game. Like you put your left shoe on before you ride or something.
No, for me, not really. I don't really have any superstitions per se. I like to have a nap on game day. Although that's only if it's a late game. My actual preference, I love to play at 3 o'clock games. That's my favorite game to play. It has nothing to do with superstitions, but I'd like to throw that in there. The more 3 o'clock games I get to play, the better. And I assume the NBL will be watching this split decision podcast and making their decisions on when we play based
Turn
off
up
of
the
it.
NBL.
But no, I don't really have a superstition. I don't have one at all, apart from maybe napping if it's a late game.
Yeah, I don't think I have. I mean, I like to have the same routine on game days, which I guess is a little superstitious. And I guess if I have a good game, I try and just do exactly the same thing that I did on that day the next time until it stops working. But like throughout the whole season, throughout my whole career, I can't say there's one thing that I do like the same every time or put my shoes on the same every time. It's really, yeah. I think I try almost not to do it because then you're thinking about it too much.
That's true, though.
Yeah.
That is very true. And I guess you guys have been playing basketball for a long time. Do you still get nervous about games, like to this day?
Yeah, I definitely do. Like before the games, I get a lot of nervous energy, but once you start playing, for me anyway, you kind of do forget about that a bit. It's just kind of in the build up to the game, more in the warm ups and stuff like that. I do get butterflies still for sure. I just get really excited more than anything. But then once I start playing, I settle down just because you realize it's something you've been doing for a long time now, so you kind of know what's going on, what to expect.
Yeah, I think it depends on the game, but I used to get super nervous as a kid playing, like unbelievably to the point where I would almost want to throw up from how nervous I was. So compared to that, I seem like a real cool cat right now. So I guess I do get a bit nervous, but compared to where I was, no way close.
So obviously, like fans, they only see like the professional side of the athletes when they're training and they're playing the game. But like when you guys aren't doing that, like what do you guys actually like to do? Like, do you have a hobby outside of that?
Yeah, I mean, we try and do some different things. I've been doing a little bit of study lately. Just trying to do my CFA. She's a certified financial accountant. Yeah, I mean, there's always. I like to hang out with my friends. Always, that's my number one favorite thing. We play a lot of cards. But I guess that's probably my hobby. It's just playing cards. Those guys, which it's been difficult in quarantine. But Emmett's got some really cool hobbies. I remember one time telling me, what was the one you used to do? Finger painting in the dark. Is that what it was?
No, yeah, big thing with basketball is you do get some solid free time, downtime when you need to recover. So I've gone through stages, obviously playing video games, stuff like that. Just watching movies, watching Netflix. I was lucky to live in Wollongong, so could go to the beach and try to take up surfing, things like that. But yeah, you got to find ways to take your mind off basketball at times. I know everyone's got their thing. People like to play golf and stuff like that, but I wish we had some more exciting answers for you, but probably sound pretty boring, I know.
And I guess our final question is: do you have any advice for a young Australian kid to want to play pro basketball in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to think about how many more people are playing basketball these days. We go do basketball camps all the time, just sort of helping out coaching to the clubs, and you see there's gyms built all across the state of Victoria. And if you want to separate yourself from those other kids, you just have to work really hard. And one of the things that, as well, that Mitch Krieg always tells kids when we go to these camps is you got to set goals. If you don't set goals, then you set little ones along the way to get to big ones. And if you got to be able to see what you're working towards, and in your head as well, it's nice to be able to tick off some things to see some results going your way when you're working hard, which is why goals are so good. I think you sort of something to aspire to, but it also gives you a sense of sort of achievement when you reach them, and sort of encourages you to keep going. But yeah, you got to work really hard. Like the NBL's taken off; it's getting more popular. It's getting harder to get in, and maybe we're a little bit lucky right now because we're getting in sort of at the beginning. But for everyone else that's out there, it's going to keep getting harder. And playing professional basketball is like the best life because you have so much time really outside to see your friends and family, and then also you don't really have to work. 26 this year, I still haven't had to be in an office working really at all, and I'm just playing a game for a living. And it's a great life. So I would recommend it to anybody, but it is hard to get in. You have to work really hard.
I think Dane summed that up real well. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for this podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It means like so much to us. We hope everything goes well for you guys in the future. Hope you guys get that that championship. You know, everything goes well for you. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. And
wait, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Check out the links. And, check out Kremlin. You know, they've got new stuff coming. And yeah,
Get your merch.
get your merch.
It's not merch. It's just like it's a
actual clothes.
You're wearing it now, Tucker, aren't you?
Yeah, right. Luke would kill me if I wasn't wearing it.
No worries, guys. Good to chat to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
See you guys later.